Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. Is Marvin speaking. I just want to go back to the some of the early stuff that Lucy said in her interviews because it certainly doesn't add up to me. Have a listen to this, people. This is interesting.
I'd gone home from the NRG festival a little bit earlier than everybody else because I was tired. So I'd gone home alone back to my apartment.
She never actually gave a time. So technically, she's not on the strip. She'd gone home and went to sleep. So just say she left between 10 and 12. Just say, just a theory. And she was woken up at 8:30. That doesn't make sense to me because, like I said, she was supposed to be later on the strip or around outside and eating with the rest of them around about after 4 a.m. in the morning. That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm just wondering why this wasn't brought up in the documentary about what she says early and what she says later. Surely you would flag that.
And then I woke up to a phone call at like 8:30 in the morning, around 8:30.
So basically, from when she left the club, theory between, say, this is my theory, between like say 10 and 1 a.m. It's just a theory, people. And then she was asleep and she was woken up from 8:30. So technically, she's basically saying, I didn't know a thing from when I left the club until I woke up about Jay missing.
From Jay saying that he'd gone up to the mountains, that his phone was on 1%, so it was like about to die. He didn't know where he was. He needed a drink. That he'd cut all his leg on like a cactus, and that he had no idea where he were. So I said to him, like, if you're ever going to listen to anything I'm going to say, like, you need to listen now. You need to go back to wherever you've just come from before your phone dies, and I'll come and pick you up from there. Like, you need to go back there. He said to me, I can't go back there. I can't go back there.
But they had a location pin for him, so she could have gone and picked him up in a matter of emergencies, or called a taxi out there, or got a friend a friend who we think she knows, who she contacted, said she contacted someone on Facebook, but we believe that this person lived in the same apartment building as what she did.
I don't know where it is, so I just said, send me like a location. So he sent over a screenshot of his last.
So you knew where he was.
Location. So I went straight. The first thing I did when the phone had cut off was I rang the police. So I rang.
So obviously the problem we've got with that is, why didn't you ring his mum first and say, look, I've not heard from Jay I went home early. I've not heard from Jay for like between 6 and 8 hours. Just doesn't make sense to me because, like I said, everyone was talking about missing time in this case. And I'm just wondering whether that was a plan to put things in place of what everyone was going to say about missing Jay.
911 and spoken to the people there, and they told me that they'd sent a helicopter out. But later on, I'd spoken to somebody who lived up in the mountains
in the investigation.
And they'd said they hadn't heard any helicopters, which obviously, if there was a helicopter out, they definitely would have heard it. So I think they just totally fobbed me off with that. I don't even think they did. So after like half an hour, I had no updates. So I rang back and I said, has the helicopter had any sightings of him? Has anybody seen him? Like, I'm really, really worried. They said no, they'd not seen anything, but they were like out.
I mean, is there any CCTV when she did leave the club? To be honest with you, we know that she was still out all night, and technically that was a complete lie. You've either gone home and you stay home, and Abe and Rocky and Brandon and Brad vouched for you that you went home, but that was the early part. But this has been forgotten about. And I think this is kind of crucial.
looking for him. So I thought, right, I'm not getting anywhere with this phone call. Like, every time I'd ring the police, like, they just kept ending the phone on me, like they were just so unbothered by the full situation. So I thought, right, I need to get a taxi as soon as possible down to the police station and speak to them in person. So I got a taxi down to the closest police station. I was literally there within the hour of the phone call. I'd gone in.
So technically, she's basically saying she was still in Los Cristianos.
And I said, I really need to report somebody missing. But I said, it's not like they're just missing around here. Like, he's missing in a very, like, abandoned place. There's nothing up there. It's just mountains. She gave me a piece of paper that said that I needed to go online, fill in a form, and then within 48 hours I'd receive a code, and I'd bring the code back to the police station, and then I could file a report. I said, within 48 hours, like, it could be fatal. I said, this needs reporting right now. So we'd come up, there was literally no sign of him anywhere. Like, we drove around all day. There was literally nothing.
But why did you call his mum if you were driving around all day? Didn't we hear at one stage they were driving around at night? Which is kind of odd, trying to look for him. So was she up early hours in the morning? Because like I said, if she said she was asleep at 8:30 and you're driving round at night looking for him, it couldn't have been surely the basically the Monday evening. I just don't believe that.
No sign of him. I went into a restaurant that was halfway up on the viewpoint.
And is that where you are now, Lucy? You're staying at the coast, but you're now up in the mountains where you think Jay was.
I've literally not slept at all since I've got that phone call at 8 o'clock.
We all hope that the search continues and Jay is found safe and sound. But the final question is, what is he like? What's he like at home?
So that was it, people. It never added up. And she didn't say where her location was to the Sky reporter there or when she even got there. So this is bizarre, very, very early at the end of the day. I think she covered her tracks very, very early in this case. And like I said, I think it's going to be highlighted because it certainly doesn't make sense to me in that you've gone home and yet the court transcript had you at the Airbnb with Jay. So, you know, where were you? You can't just say, I went home, technically back to my apartment, and then there's a court document saying that you stayed at the Airbnb. So you was with Jay, Brad and Brandon, who else was there? That just, you know, it's strange. And I think it should be highlighted. And I'm surprised that the family never really, really chased that up. Move on to part 2, people.
Hello, how can I help you?
My friend, he's met some people and they drove him up into the mountains. I don't know why. And he's left the house. I don't know if something happened, and I was telling him, you need to go back to your friends and tell them to drive you back. And he said, no, I can't, but I don't know why that was.
I think she was there because she said that he's left the house. I really, really do think that the leaked court document was true, and she was at the house, and he you know, apparently he just left, even though I don't think he was basically ever there. I think this sort of storyline they concocted had always been transcripted very, very early, because it's like she's been told to actually say that. And her voice sounds very, very fearful. And some of the stuff she says that she's going to think, basically, he's going to die up there. I think she already knew he was dead.
His name?
Jay, later.
Because he told you at all that he needs to be rescued.
Yeah. Said he feels like he's going to die up there. And then the phone cut off.
One thing we do know is that they were all together on the strip eating, was it Magic Mike's cafe? They were all there. And obviously the court documents says that at the end of the day. And it was confirmed by a few of them as well. How is it that we just heard of that in the last minute? Surely it would have been easier just to come out from the start. Why come out the end and say something that we sort of all gathered before that they were all together and people were saying it? Surely if you didn't have anything to hide, you'll just come out and just tell your story, whether people believe you or not, because this is your friend that you loved and cared for. That never made sense to me. So we've got basically Lucy talking to Sky very, very early on in the case, and it's transcripted as well, so everyone can read word for word what she said. And then, so she's gone home early. Okay, so you would have thought early would be 1 a.m. or even before 12. I originally thought it was about maybe 10, 11 p.m. she went, but I'm just giving it a bit of just between, say, 10 and 1, or before, let's just say before Jay got kicked out, right? And then, so she was awoken in the, basically talking to Sky at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. So how could, she didn't tell us about the Lucy voice note to Jay at 3:24 a.m. That just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm coming down to get you now. If you're not there this time, I'm going to be fucking fuming.
I were at work. I got a call from Lucy. She just said, Jay's missing. He didn't come back last night. She just said, I've reported him missing to the police. My legs were just like jelly. I've just gone into panic.
Can I just say, everything you reported missing,
Not much.
you saw. Do you know where he was staying exactly in Tenerife?
Lost Cristiano.
So the couple of things we got to look at is, why is she given sort of 3 different interviews and messages? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up to me. And I honestly do think that when you look at what she says, it's just not right. It's not right. It sounds to me she didn't go home to sleep that night. It sounds like to me she was out all night. It really does. I think the Airbnb was used as a base for planning, for recreation, and many other things as well. That's what was the base for. And that argument in the morning was people arguing in what they were going to say and what they were going to do. I mean, if someone done that walk as Jay, and basically that's a possibility that they could pull it off, but there was no camera footage on that. But I did want to flag this because this is really, really bizarre. And I'm sure that it would have been really looked at if this happened in England. On what you'd say is that at the end of the day, if this was your friend, at least get your timelines right. At least if you're coming out to the news and you're coming out and you're talking to the public, at least get your story right. There's something seriously wrong, and it should have been flagged in the coroner's court about time, because the time's off. And I just think that this case was always going to be stamped as an accident, and nobody is really looking at the facts in what we heard and what we know, and it just doesn't add up. I think she got an alibi. I think she covered herself earlier on in the case. And she was the one that I think that had to put something out there to tell us that basically I did everything in my power to try to save Jay, but a story doesn't add up. And that Sky interview tells you everything. Let me know what you think, people. And don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment. Thank you.